You ready?
Delete that about Sylvan Wilson.
Go on.
Once upon a time, there was a singer that was preparing to go on tour, Justin Timberlake. The next day, Justin Timberlake, he was relishing going on tour. Late afternoon, he was writing his song before the day would arrive. Later evening, Justin Timberlake, he settled down for the night and got some rest, and he would spend some time with Jessica Biel and his son. The next day, as the crowds gathered at Wembley Arena, they would queue up and the tickets would be sold out in a matter of seconds. The next day, the crowds were really looking forward to watching Justin Timberlake perform at Wembley Arena. They were already looking forward to him coming to the Wembley Arena. Justin Timberlake was performing in London, followed by Manchester, and then he would go to the United States. He would perform there. Everyone who was going to watch Justin Timberlake, they were so excited about him coming that they were buzzing, and they were really surprised that Justin Timberlake would go on tour to these places. The next day, Justin Timberlake flew from Memphis airport, where he was given a rapturous reception as they waved him off. As they waved him off, yeah. Well, his girlfriend Jessica Biel and his son, they would remain in the United States while Justin Timberlake went on tour. Late that afternoon, Justin Timberlake was sat on the plane. He would have a sleep on the plane. As it was a very long journey on the plane, he wouldn't arrive into London Heathrow until the next day. Meanwhile, back in the United States, his partner Jessica Biel would take his son to school, and she would put the kid to bed while Justin Timberlake was on tour. The next day, Justin Timberlake arrived into Heathrow, where he got on the train and caught a train towards Wembley. He would stay in the hotel near Wembley, and he would check into his hotel. He would get some rest. The next day, Justin Timberlake had his breakfast, and he would go for a walk around. And as he prepared to perform live at Wembley Arena, before he would head back to the hotel, and he would go on the tour. He would go on the tour event, and he would head towards Manchester Arena. Later after evening, Justin Timberlake arrived to the venue as the crowd started building. They were looking forward to watching Justin Timberlake. They wanted to post some photos of Justin Timberlake. Suddenly the fans came in and they took to their seats as Justin Timberlake was in the changing rooms, getting ready to perform at Wembley Arena. In what was a packed audience, suddenly Justin Timberlake arrived onto the stage and he was performing his songs. The crowd would get involved. They were loving this. The next day, the crowd reflected on what was a really enjoyable night. The next day, Justin Timberlake went in the tour van and they made their way to Manchester Arena later that evening. Justin Timberlake arrived into his dressing room, doing his final preparation before he would perform in front of another packed audience inside Manchester Arena. Later that evening, as the crowds began to gather in, Justin Timberlake was all set and ready to go on stage. Suddenly, Justin Timberlake went on the stage and he sang all his hits on his latest album before he would get the crowd involved as much as he could, so the crowd could join into the songs that Justin Timberlake was singing. Later that evening, Justin Timberlake went back to the hotel, where he was staying, what was not far from Manchester Arena. He would the next day catch the train to London Euston, and then he would catch the train to Heathrow and he would fly to New York. And he would spend the night in New York, and then the next day he would fly back to Memphis, where he would reunite with his partner Jessica Biel and his kid. The next day he arrived into New York. The crowd, they were really looking forward to it. He was hoping that his kid and his partner came to watch him perform, but they weren't able to make it. Later, even Justin Timberlake, he arrived onto the stage and he would perform all his songs in what was a full packed arena. The next day, Justin Timberlake, he went back to the hotel before he would check into the airport and fly back to Memphis. Later that morning, Justin Timberlake waited in at check-in before he could go to the gate where he had to go. Suddenly, Justin Timberlake arrived to the gate where he had to go, and he would wait inside the terminal before the plane arrived. Later that morning, Justin Timberlake got onto the plane. He was really tired, and he would go to sleep on the plane on his way back home to Memphis. Later that afternoon, Justin Timberlake arrived back to Memphis, and he would get picked up by his partner Jessica Biel. Justin Timberlake got into the car, and they made their way back to the house. Later that afternoon, they arrived back at the house, and Justin Timberlake would get his luggage out of the car, and he would take the luggage upstairs, and then he would have lunch with his partner, Jessica Biel and his kid. Later that afternoon, Justin Timberlake would go to the beach with his partner Jessica Biel and son, and they would go swimming in the sea, and then they would go out for something to eat. They would go to a restaurant in the city centre of Memphis. Later that evening, they went home and they would settle down for the night. The next day, Justin Timberlake would take his son to school, and then he would go to the studio and he would work on his next album. Later afternoon, Justin Timberlake, he would have his lunch before continuing work on his new album. Later afternoon, Justin Timberlake went to pick up his son from school. After he picked up his son, they would go back home and they would play some games. Later that evening, Justin Timberlake, his partner Jessica Biel and his son Dave would have tea together, and then they would settle down for the night watching television. The next day, Justin Timberlake did some work on his new album that he was doing the previous day. His partner Jessica Biel would take his son to school. The end. Sam Jenkinson.